Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Daniel Tribby. And he's a healthcare disruptor and entrepreneur. And he's got a very interesting slant on the way healthcare is, where healthcare is going, and how physicians can position themselves to eliminate the insurance middlemen, have more autonomy, have more control over their time, their income, and overall save healthcare, which is a quite a big goal. And so with that, I'm happy to welcome Daniel to the show. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, Dr. Lou, thanks again for having me on here. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, just we're very casual, so I go by Chris, and all the guests do so. So start talking about your story of transition from a healthcare provider to successful healthcare entrepreneur. What lessons did you learn on the way? And we'll get this conversation going.
Absolutely. Kind of a weird roundabout story, right? I don't think anybody, it's kind of like the old success drawing, People think it looks like this, but it looks kind of like this. That's kind of the squiggly direction that got me into being a business owner. I think the majority of people end up owning a business because they've decided that they can do it better than the system that's employing them. And for me, I wasn't much different. I worked for a very large orthopedic institute. My background's in sports medicine rehabilitation. So I was the guy, if you watched, football on Sundays, I would have been the fanny pack guy, traditionally. But I also did the, clinic work, physician-owned care, doing prescribed physical therapy on, anything from, young adolescents with sports injuries all the way up to total joints and those types of things for the geriatric population. But the one thing that really seemed to astound me was that there was such a drive for how much can you do versus how much quality can you deliver. And it was, I was fortunate enough to work with some really great therapists, and we ran it about 120% productive. Our customer service ratings and the old, if any of you have done Press and Ganey surveys, right? Those lovely things that they base all the employees' bonuses off of. We ran at nearly 98% satisfaction from our customers in those surveys, but there was still just a pat on the back and a, hey, how much more can you do? Right. So I got tired of that really quantity driven animal. And I stepped away after 10 years and said, I'm never going back to this. Got into the healthcare sales stuff and started pushing regenerative medicine products, plates, screws, bone grafting, as well as, amniotic tissue and stem cell therapy via bone marrow aspirate, and had a lot of success. Worked a lot with another physician, and we decided together that we wanted to open our own practice. So we did that in Orlando in 2017. We decided we could build something that actually was geared towards the quality of patient care, but also the quality of patient outcome. Less narcotic medicines, less steroid injections, and really just give people an opportunity to heal. And so we built that in 2017, and it scaled quickly. I took on the role pretty fast of being the operations guy, and we built it into a seven-figure practice and just exited it this past September in a nice sale and a nice nest egg for us moving forward. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's the quick squiggly line of how I started in as a provider and went to we can do this better and built a successful practice. So in there is a bunch of different, ups, downs, insides and outs, but that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, I love that. And like I said, talking about healthcare and why majority of people are so unsatisfied, that's like we could have a whole conference about that. And this episode is more just kind of breaking the mindset around just kind of traditional healthcare providers and how they can free themselves from the entanglements. The younger generation, they get it, but it's kind of the older, more established, they're struggling. So talk about this idea of like what is the first step in just getting untangled? Because you've got insurance, you got hospital, you've got licensing boards, all these things, and then all of a sudden, then all you also got student debt. All these things are trapping you. You can't get out. What is the first step?
I think the first step is deciding which type of business owner you want to be. Right? There's only two in this world. There's the one that wants to learn how to do it and is open to being coached, will invest the time equity to be able to do it. Right. So this person is probably going to go, they're probably already working too much anyway, but they're going to add more time to their plate to learn how to build a practice efficiently. They're going to be the operator of that practice, and they're going to hire more doctors to go in, and eventually they'll see less and less patients, and they will actually be what is called a business owner, right? Not a business operator with the title of business owner, which that's our second type. So first is I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to build it. I'm going to grow it. I'm going to strictly be an owner. The other type is the operator. This person is the one that wants the title, but doesn't want to have to spend the time learning how to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. Hire somebody that knows what the hell they're doing and let them build it for you. Hire a fractional COO, hire a director of operations, hire somebody that's been there and done it, who can come in and put all the systems into place for you so that you can have the title business owner while you're being the doctor. Right? These are usually the guys who have invested in like we'll get you 30 leads in 30 days types of systems that always fail. Right? They're probably those types of guys because they just haven't, they haven't really wanted to step into hiring someone that can do this. So where the first type sacrifices time equity, this type is going to sacrifice some financial equity up front. Like you pay somebody that knows what they're doing to come in and run the show for you and let you be the doctor with the title of owner. There's nothing wrong with either one of them, but my key is know which one you are. Don't flirt with both sides. Pick one and be okay with it and just go.
Yeah. I love that. And then it's basically freeing yourself from the entanglements, freeing up your time. And like I love this idea. A lot of, for a lot of the audience out there, they're physicians and they want to become business owners, or they just want to just do what they do best, which is see patients and treat. And then they, there's two camps. Talk about this because, kind of the trend of healthcare is you're getting a lot of practices bought out by private equity. And of course, that's, got, cost cutting measures, shareholders and stakeholders' interests are not aligned with, these clinical practices. And also you have this trend where a lot of employment is going towards being employed by a hospital system as opposed to, having your own clinic. So how can people prevent, kind of protect themselves from this trend and, still maintain their autonomy?
Yeah, I think that there's a large stigma out there where people believe that just because I'm good at something, I can build a business around it. Doesn't work like that, right? You got to think about how many years it took for you to be a provider, whether it's a doctor, physical therapist, chiropractor, how many years it took you to learn that. Well, these guys that run private equity firms have spent the same amount of time doing nothing except learning how to run a business. Right now, do we have our reservations about how they run healthcare businesses? Of course we do. Now, there's some PE groups that do a really, really good job because they care, and there's some that don't care as much, and so those are the ones you hear about on the news, right? Like I read, was it a hospital in Boston that's owned by a PE group that wasn't paying their bills, and a lady gave birth, had a bleed. They didn't have access to a coil to stop the bleed, had to fly her out, and she died at the other hospital. But the reason why they didn't have access to the coil is because the PE group wasn't paying the bills. So the company that owned the coil that they were putting in the hospital came and took all their merchandise out. So who's to blame? The group that took the coil or the PE group, right? So you get good and bad no matter what side of the coin you're on. You'll have good and bad healthcare entrepreneurs too. The question is that do you believe that just because you are a doctor or a PT or a chiro with a craft, that you can also build a business around that craft without having the education of how to do it? That's why a lot of these businesses fail, is because we believe I have credentials. If I'm a spine surgeon, people will come see me because people have back pain. I could just say, I'm Dr. John. I graduated from Harvard Medical School. Come see me. It doesn't work like that. Nobody cares about your credentials, right? You've got to learn how to build a business. So if you want to learn, if you want to avoid being bought out by a hospital or avoid PE groups taking over the healthcare system, you need more providers who are willing to to learn how to be real business owners and not having the expectation that because they're a professional here, that it equates to success in a different realm.
Yeah, I love that. One of the ways talking to physicians is that they've tried to, or that they're actually going away from, is this DPC model. And so, for the audience out there that's not very familiar with that, describe what this DPC model is and how it cuts out the insurer.
Direct primary care is a beautiful thing, I think, which is the DPC acronym. So you can pay a set amount per month to a primary care physician, a family doctor, and that covers all of your general visits, right? Your yearly physicals, your bumps, your bruises, your runny noses, like that kind of just normal stuff that happens to you on a regular basis. You just pay a monthly fee to this office and you have access to it. A lot of times these physicians will give you a direct line to them as well. You don't have to call, sit on hold, what's your insurance, and go through that whole thing. It's you have a direct line of care to someone who can help you. So think about last week. I was sick as a dog last week, and I wasn't going anywhere. It was 7:30 at night. I felt terrible. My only option was Teledoc, right? So got on there, did the thing. Within 3 minutes, I had a phone call, right? So this is similar to what a DPC can do for you, but it's your own personal doctor. It's just not some rando on, Teledoc that called me. But I'm super thankful that that was available to me. But if I was enrolled in a DPC, I would have called my Dr. Lou and just said, "Hey man, I'm dying over here. I got a fever. I don't know what's going on." And Dr. Lou would have said, "Here you go." And then, called in scripts for me or said, "Let me get you in first thing tomorrow morning," whatever it would have been. And this allows you to have such a direct access to your providers for a monthly cost that's usually very affordable. I know there's some groups here, I'm in Florida, there's some groups around here that charge $75 a month for that service, and there's others that are more exclusive. You'll pay 10 grand a year depending on what you want, but it's a very, very viable thing. And it's very exclusive as far as, being able to have access to someone when you're sick, when you have a problem.
Yeah, and so I love this. And for all the physicians and providers, definitely check out. It's a great way of increasing your revenue, controlling your time, cutting out the middlemen, avoiding the high volume trap. So, talk about your book and what inspired you to write your book, and the key principles and how people can find it.
Grew as our practice grew. Just to highlight on our business, we did everything regenerative medicine. So everything stem cell therapy, like real stem cell therapy, not donated amniotic. If any of you read Life Force by Tony Robbins, that's not what we're doing. We did autologous stem cells for orthopedic conditions. My physician was a physiatrist that's trained all the way up through interventional orthopedics and spine. So real deal here, not just junk medicine, okay? 80% cash pay and a seven-figure business. So building this, there's such a learning curve. But the more recognition that we got and the faster we grew, the more I had people reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, I see you guys everywhere. What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, well, we just, we did this marketing plan. We did this type of sales integration. We hired these kinds of people." And I'd get looked at like I had three heads. And I realized that a lot of these individuals didn't understand what I was talking about because they didn't have the business nomenclature to understand what I was talking about. And so I kind of fell into this consulting role kind of by accident. And I started working with other healthcare providers who were business owners or had desire to own their own business and teaching them. And I said, you know what? I need to reach more people. More people need to know about this business development side of private healthcare. So I sat down during COVID and I banged out a book in about 3.5, 4 months that dealt with the foundational aspects of how to grow a private practice. How do you start it? What's the premise behind how you want to start it? What's the vision for your business? What's the purpose for your business? And how are you going to put the strategy together? And I give you 10 whole chapters that deal with all of those, that take you from essentially soup to nuts as to how to do this the right way. So you don't have to pay somebody like me a year or two down the road to fix it. So that was kind of the motivating factor behind it. And it's helped quite a bunch of people. I still get direct messages on LinkedIn and via email of people saying, "Hey, this was great. Thank you for this." It's been kind of a staple in getting me moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that. So I love to end conversations kind of on an inspiring note. So talk about this intersection between business entrepreneurship, mindset, and healthcare, because I think healthcare, I was talking to another guest today, I think healthcare and education are the two industries that are severely lagging, like they're in the stone ages right now. And so how can people listening to this integrate what you've talked about and take action either by checking out your book, checking out your website, following up with you, etc.
Yeah, sure. I love you mentioned the word mindset too. That's kind of the most important thing about anything you're going to do business wise or life wise for that matter. Any self-help or professional directional book you've ever read, right? You go back to Think and Grow Rich. Well, think is the thing. It's how you think. It's not thinking about growing rich. It's how you think about yourself, right? Henry Ford has this famous quote everybody knows, it doesn't matter whether you think you can or can't, you're right. And so mindset is such a heavy piece. And I hear people all the time, they're like, oh, I don't need that mindset stuff. Just tell me how to get more patients in the door. And I'm like, I can do how to do that. The problem is if it fails for any reason, what are you going to think about yourself? Right? Is failure the thing that stops you in your tracks? Does failure cause you to fire everybody else around you? Or does failure motivate you to do something internally about how you're approaching your life or your business? Okay. So that is such an important piece of it. And I don't actually work with people unless you're willing to dive into what are some of your own personal roadblocks, period. I won't do it. So I can build your business for sure, but your business growth will be stunted by your own growth, your own personal growth. Those are directly proportional. As you grow, your business can too. You stop growing, your business will stop along with it. And if that's something that interests any of you listeners out there, you want to know how to become a better business owner, a better person, run a more successful business that's not just about creating more revenue. I want you guys to make more money, but I also want you to have the idea that you're doing more that satisfies patients. Like as healthcare providers, we got to be here to put patient care. And when I say patient care, I don't just mean outcomes. I mean, are we doing the things that actually bring service to our clientele? Are we at the top of our customer service as well as the top of our outcomes and the upper echelon of generating revenue for ourselves, our families, and then also for our teams that work with us? So if those are things that motivate you, then I'm the guy that you can work with and the one that you want to speak to. And I'm the most easily accessible through my website, which is just Daniel Tribby Official. Apparently, there's more than one Daniel Tribby out there. Kind of a strange last name, but there is another one. So mine is just first and last name, followed by the word official.com. And you can check out my blog on there. You can check out my book on there. You can contact me directly. And I would love to hear from any of you and hear about your successes, your problems. And if there's any way I can help you grow into the business owner that you dreamed of, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, and for all the audience out there, let's thank Daniel for coming on and talking about the challenges with healthcare, ways of freeing up your, kind of disentangling yourself and maintaining your autonomy. Be sure to give his socials a like and follow. Check out his book. All these links will be in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the time, man. It was a lot of fun.